welcome to the Pork and Beans. This is Arla and Mike tonight. We've got Graham and Aimée MacSkimming with us, and we're very excited about this. It's gonna really be a cool show. So
I think so. I think so. And we're only 3 minutes late after all that craziness. I don't know what's the matter with Zoom. It's supposed to be easy. You know what I'm saying? The reason why I have Zoom is so that you can send the link to anybody and they just push on the link and it works. But about half the time people need, I need the passcode, a security code. I need an ounce of blood.
Right.
Must have upgraded their security.
I don't know. It's always been that way. If you don't have Zoom on your the application Zoom on your computer, then it gets confused.
I think that's when you have to enter that code in, maybe. And I don't know that either, because I know I do a lot of Zoom, and most time I don't have a problem getting on, but every now and then I do, and I have to use the passcode. So it's like anything else. It's just our technology, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
That's right.
But we are successful.
Yeah, we're here.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. You got to open up another window or something if you want to go look at comments and stuff.
Oh yeah.
If that's if you want to. So
I can probably figure that out. Yeah.
It's up to you. So you probably be talking during the show, so you won't have time for all that. But
I'll see if it
Deborah Klein, aloha. Deborah Klein.
Buddy. Well, there's Arla. So yeah, I can see her comment there.
And Deborah's on there.
Yeah.
Great.
Cool.
Hello.
So
well, I was so excited. I wore my men's cologne tonight. Can you want to see if I sprayed it all around here, see if you can smell it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Well, not only is he the handsomest man in the world, he's the best smelling.
That's right. You gotta have both
aspects, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I trimmed all my Scrabble stuff off.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, aren't you supposed to look kind of rough? Isn't that?
Well, that's because we're manly men, you know.
Okay.
Only the men boys.
I could say
they use razors.
whatever. Oh my gosh. The manly man of today is definitely not the manly man of several years ago. The manly man today is totally in touch with his feminine side.
That's right.
And the fifth dimension.
And the fifth dimension.
True. Isn't that a group? The fifth dimension.
That was a group from the 1960s. Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Hearing about my parents listened to them.
Well,
my parents' friends listened to them.
That's hilarious.
That's my era, for sure. And that I guess the dawning of Aquarius was probably the song that maybe they were most noted for.
Yeah. So, I think they were all about that, the dawning of the age of Aquarius,
right.
And the ascension to the next dimension, and all that kind of stuff that sparked off the 60s culture.
Yep.
They were exemplifying that in how they presented themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was an interesting era. I lived through it.
Wow.
Nice.
Of course, Michael and I are basically the same age. So we're not even 50s babies. We have to go back to the 40s. So, but that's okay.
No, I'm 50.
Too.
I'm 50. I was born 1950.
No, you weren't. You're older than I am.
No, I'm not.
I
Yeah, I
thought
think,
you were the oldest.
no,
You mean
no.
I'm older than you?
Well, if you're 75 or 6, then you're older
I
than
will.
me.
I'll be 75 in December.
Oh,
So
okay. Well, then we're the same age until December.
There you go.
yeah.
You
Then
both
I go
look great.
older than you.
Yeah.
You both look great.
Yeah,
But I
what a-
Thank you.
smell, but I
Yeah, you
smell
don't-
good.
That age, no. Nope.
It's definitely not like it was when I was younger, when you got to 40 and it was like, oh my gosh, my life's almost
Over. Yeah.
over, you know, and then it changed and it went to 50 and then it was like 60, that's nothing. And when I turned 70, I was like, you know, so you just, it's all about how you view your life,
That's
you
right.
know. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's exactly right. I agree.
Yeah, I think 50 is the new 20.
Yeah, there you go.
Probably so. You know, I have children that are in their 50s.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow.
Oh, I love it though. It
Right.
doesn't bother me at all. I'm good with it. So, what's been going on with you guys?
It's the new stuff.
You ladies first.
Well, I guess most of you know, or maybe you don't, but we just relocated, moved to a cabin in the woods the 1st of September, and started different jobs. And we're like in the middle of the country. We're exactly where we want to be. It's wonderful. It's so beautiful here, peaceful, and we think there's lots of big hairy folk that are not too far away.
Oh, I don't doubt that.
What state?
What was that?
What state?
What state?
Yeah.
What province?
We're in Ontario. We're
Oh,
in
you're in Ontario. Okay.
Cloyne, Ontario.
Yeah, we just moved to a pretty much a village almost, or a small town called Cloyne. And it's in an area called North Frontenac, which is also known as the land of lakes, and
Right.
God's country is another thing that people call it.
It's
It's just so
gorgeous.
beautiful here. And yeah, we're on a really big lake that seems to be like kind of a broiling energy spot, I think.
Yeah,
It's,
lots of energy here.
what's
Yeah.
going on that creates electromagnetic activity due to the water flow.
Right.
And
Yeah, you probably got UFOs going in and
Like-
out of that lake too.
Oh
Yes.
yes, very much so. Already had
So
some
is that
big
close to
stuff.
the Great Lakes? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, it's
Great
close
Lakes?
to Lake Ontario.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, there's people say they see the UFOs going in and out of lakes like every night. It's like you just sit out in the lawn chairs and watch them.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. We've been
that's we've been
We've been
doing a
doing
bit of
that,
that.
yeah.
We've seen a couple interesting ones so
Yeah,
far.
very interesting.
Yeah. Um,
They
but,
are very busy now. Very, very
Right.
busy. Pretty much everywhere. People are seeing them. My daughter and I were sitting out watching the eclipse, the lunar eclipse the other night, and we're having so much fun. She's got all these apps on her phone that you can say a star and it'll move you and show you the way to go to that, or the constellation or the planet.
Interesting.
And of course, I'm like, okay, let's have Arcturus. Find Arcturus
Right.
for me,
oh, wow.
you know, and
Yeah,
then
where are
guess
they?
what?
They'll be up there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yep. And then I was looking up at the sky, leaned back, and I said, well, we haven't seen a ship, and I barely got ship out when here come one.
Ooh.
And she's also got an app on her phone that tells her all the airplanes that are in the area,
Oh,
what elevation or, that they're at. And that was not registering on her phone, period.
wow.
Aha.
That's interesting.
On that app.
That's a
So
cool
that,
app.
Yeah, that is a
Yeah.
very cool app.
Nice.
Yeah.
Look into getting that.
Yeah, really.
it's fun.
Yeah, I didn't know they had such
So
a
I
thing.
was looking into messages, and actually I've been friends with Aimee since 2017.
Yeah, been friends for a while.
And that's back when I was doing the free disclosure gift project, and I was doing interviews for the Dr. Edgar Mitchell Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial Encounters, and basically I was doing interviews for people, but the PhDs didn't like that because they didn't have any control over it, and they just thought it would. I was being a what an unwashed illiterate. You know what I mean? An unwashed illiterate was contaminating the the PhD effect of their study. So
With some kind of extraterrestrial poetic license.
it's too bad, because if I had I didn't have access to it, but they had a database of like 4,000 people who've been on a craft, right?
Wow.
And all they would have, if I had done that, that would have changed. It would be like Preston Dennett. It would be like there's just like an endless supply of people
There
talking about
is.
being on the craft. But I guess it wasn't my fate, so that didn't actually turn out that good. And it's too hard to get people. It's actually easier, I think, to get people to talk about Sasquatch than to get people to talk about being on the craft and having their genitals looked at or something. That's kind
Right.
of, yeah.
Mm.
Or maybe their memory was erased.
Yeah,
All that happens. There's
There's nothing to say.
they don't
I
have any
saw a
memory of
number.
it.
I saw a number today that was it was somebody was doing a wrap up of the contact in North America, and they were saying it's something like 33 million out of
It's a lot.
whatever it is, two out of 220 or 330 million, something like that.
Wow.
So 33 million.
Wow.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Wow. That
And
is.
how many haven't, that they don't know that they have? I've
That's
never
just it.
turned
That's just it.
in anything, and I've had
90% of
numerous.
the contact is in a dream reality.
Yeah.
So they don't,
Mhm.
if they don't remember their dream, that's it, or they don't come back with marks on their body or
Yeah.
being traumatized. Yeah. Who knows how many? That means there's more than just what do you call it? ETs floating around out there. It would have to be
Yeah.
you get 33 million in like 40 or 50 years. That's or 60 years, whatever it is. That would take a fleet, I would say, a fleet of ET scout ships.
Well, you've got
Hmm.
different Star Nation people too. That's like there are 7 that I'm working with, and they're all from different, stars or constellations. And so if I'm working with 7, I wonder, other people who are working with them, and I do know that there are other people that are working with groups of them. How many is there of that? It's like Sasquatch. There for a while, you didn't get a lot of reports. And then everything started opening up. And now I see stuff on Facebook in numerous different groups all the time of somebody. This is the first time I've ever told my story. So
I heard, like I said, I was kind of like, I was like really into that because I was a volunteer on the free the free study. And I was, but aside from that, I was listening to these guys. I was listening to the people who are contactees, and this one guy was saying that there's 2,000 uh, different from different craft from different locations that fly by Earth every year. 2,000, and almost none of them, right, really stop and land or anything like that. They just go by and scan it, because there's a big universe and we're just part of it, right? But then there's about 200 that do stop and look around or meet somebody or whatever. And then of those 200, there's, like Larla was saying, there's probably 25 to 50 that are committed to Earth or stationed on Earth and working with us. So that's a huge chunk of the pie there. I mean, from 2,000 and different crafts, different peoples.
Yep. Have
I
any
heard
of you ever heard of Dr. Stephen M. Greer?
Oh,
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
of
very
course.
everybody's heard of him.
for sure.
Oh, yeah.
He is, yeah.
He
He's
went back to
Got
that
me
guy went
into
back to the
Yeah.
70s.
yeah, he
Yeah.
started when he was
Way
just a
back.
boy.
Right.
Wow.
17, he was out learning how to be a meditation teacher. You know, he
Right.
said, he didn't drink, he didn't, party or anything else. His whole life was geared toward that. And yeah, he's new to me as far as someone who had been in it. Like when I came into the world of Bigfoot people, humans, I didn't know anybody in it. I didn't know names. I didn't know who Bob Gimlin was. I didn't know
Right.
Jeff Meldrum. I didn't know anybody because my life hadn't been in that. And so now I've been working with these star people now for a few years, and I'm slowly, again, finding out who people are that I'm compatible with and who people are that I'm not compatible with. And when I find somebody like Dr. Greer, I'm like, oh my gosh. So,
Oh yeah,
Yes. We're
It's
the
the best
same.
stuff.
Yes.
yeah.
He's a great
I
man.
get notifications from him.
Yeah, I first started to take the subject of UFOs more seriously when I heard about what he'd done with, what he calls the Disclosure Project, and I didn't know a lot about it, and I didn't have any experience of my own at the time. I guess that was, I don't know, maybe like 15 years ago or so, and I thought that it was more credible because there were so many air pilots who were witnesses that he interviewed, and I figured, well, they're in the perfect position, obviously, to see
Yeah.
aircraft. So, and they're also military, so they're taking a risk just by saying anything. So I didn't think they were doing it just for fun.
Yeah.
So that started to get me intrigued. Could this really be real?
Right.
Wow.
That's
I was
cool.
in for a shock.
And your own personal shock.
Yes, my own personal shock happens. Actually, at one point, it really happened. I went outside. I'd already seen a bunch of wild UFOs a few months beforehand in Missouri, and then I went back to Vancouver, and for a few months. Then I went back to Missouri again, and I saw a bunch of them, and there were so many of them that I sort of became a bit shell shocked, and I just sort of said, I think I better just go inside because it got kind of freaky. I saw, maybe another time actually, I saw one coming in my direction, and then another appeared here, and then another appeared over there, forming a chevron or triangle. formation. And that definitely took me aback, to say the least. And this time that I was looking up at the sky, suddenly I saw so many triangles that, you know, some of them could have simply been stars, and I was seeing, you know, the configuration of one star, another star, and another star in triangular form. Or they could have been something more too, but at that point it had become so confusing to me what was what, that I just decided that I think I'm just going to take a break.
Yeah.
So I did. I just went inside and chilled out.
Yeah, sometimes you get on overload on a lot of things, and it's you have to just stop and step back and go, okay, we have to have some processing time here to see, you know, what's going on.
I had a great experience when I was living in Arkansas, and I had this knowing feeling that I needed to be outside at night, that particular night. And I believe it was in the fall. It was cold, and I took my bedspread and wrapped it around me and laid in my front yard. And I remember just being very uncomfortable, cold, and just wanting to relax. So I just sent out to the universe and to the star family, could you please help calm me down and let me be comfortable here, because I know I'm supposed to be here. And they did instantaneously. I was like, I fell right, like it felt like I fell asleep. Now, a lot of this I remember, and a lot of it I don't. It was the most spectacular thing I've ever seen. Now, I don't want to get emotional. So I believe that I was taken up, and I don't remember a lot of what happened, but I believe I received a lot of downloads, a lot of upgrades, a lot of healing, a lot of wisdom shared, sort of, you know, very all loving. And I don't know how long that took or how long I was in the front yard, but at one point I remember being back down on the ground and looking up, and there was a fleet of spaceships, a fleet of them. And they were very bright, and they were very low, and they were sort of all like hovering. And in my sort of humor, I said, okay, could you give me a bringing me home kind of fireworks sign before I go in? Like, so and as this fleet, and I said it just like that, and as this fleet was doing this, one came from behind, and they were all bright lights, but this particular spaceship had bright light that was flashing and spinning at the same time as it was going around this fleet. And I just started crying. I just started crying, and I was so happy. And then I said, I'm going inside now. And it was so beautiful. And I tell Graham often, if anybody ever wanted to make a movie of that, I think Steven Spielberg would probably do a great job to try to simulate that spectacular fleet. It was amazing.
Yeah,
I get overwhelmed and like I said, I don't really remember, except just that I was so happy, and I felt better when I was returned. I think they gave me a lot of healing, and a lot of what I needed to continue on to my, you know, I'd already had experiences with Sasquatch, and I've always believed in star family and the magic and fairies. I've always been open to all of that. And that was one of the most spectacular things I've ever had in my whole life. It's so beautiful.
No question. No question. You had a contact experience. No question about that. And what a fabulous one it was. And I think they were like the whole fleet there was because you're a special, you know, whatever it is, star or something.
It was very special.
And what year was it? Because that was, you know,
2013.
2013.
Wow.
That was a big year for me. It was many Sasquatch experiences, and ones with Star Family, and I met Graham, and I was hanging with Kelly. It was a big year for me. A big turning point.
I think I was taken on the craft in 2013 too. That was a really big deal for me.
Where you're at now, like in Georgia?
No, I was in Miami, Florida.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember a lot of it, or?
I remember the whole thing because yeah. I'm not going to go into it, but they took me on the craft and they said, "Well, give you a report." And they put me up sort of like on this stage, like a teacher stage, like where if you have like a college classroom, the teacher has a little stage, and then all the chair, all the like sort of like a little bit lower. There's people down lower, so they're kind of looking up at you. I'm standing on the stage, and I go, "What report?" I didn't know.
Uh-oh.
I didn't know anything about any
Uh-oh.
report, but I talked about my report for 5 hours.
That's
Almost,
awesome.
Wow.
yeah. It was about how human beings got wounded and then how to heal them. But I spent 5 hours talking about before the emergence of God. In other words, I was talking purely from the void, before anything, before the universe existed, before any of that kind of stuff. I didn't even know where this stuff was coming from. Yeah. It was kind of wild because, I'm a smoker, right? So after like 3 hours up there, I'm going, man, I need a cigarette. Yeah. So I asked these guys, and it was only like about maybe 5 or 7 people there. It was just an honorarium for me. I don't know what, it wasn't like a vast amount of people. So they said, okay, go ahead. And like that, I was back in my bed. And then I got up and I went to go have a cigarette. And then went back and just laid down in my bed. Like that, I was back on the ship. So I can officially say I know how to go invisible. You know what I mean? Because it's true. So
Yeah.
there's something about in our energy that just knows how to do it because it does not feel foreign at all. You don't even know that that's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow,
That's
that would be
cool.
fascinating
Yeah.
to experience that.
Yeah, very much so.
It was
Yeah.
funny. These guys had little black jumpsuits on, and then they had this white sock looking thing over their head. So they're like a white head and black outfits. And, and then on my way out to go to bed, and it's like, to finish after 5 hours, one of them telepathed to me and they said, we already know all this. So it was like, on one hand, it was deflating, right? I go, shit, I've just been talking nonsense for 5 hours. But on the other hand, it was a great confirmation that I was
Yeah,
on the right track.
exactly.
And this is what everybody knows up there. They already know that from the beginning of the foundations of the universe, there was turbulence, and that turbulence has ended up manifesting as suffering now. So
That's really cool too. There are people are still in fear of everything. And I was reading something today about it was things like past presidents would say in an address that they were giving about something going on in the nation. And I think it was Reagan, the one that just jumped out at me because of things that were going on in the world. And the need for the government to be there and take care of things and all this other. And he said something like, and we'll be prepared for an alien invasion.
oh yeah.
So
Oh, right, yeah.
immediately, what does that do? Once again, you're looking to the government. Well, the government's going to take care of me in this. But it also instills that fear in you that this could happen. And so, when things are said like that, and especially by those in power or the ones that we look up to, and most people wouldn't even get that was done to create that fear, and that the government and the military would take care of you. You didn't have to worry about it. So, we have to be careful about what we listen to, and think about why is that being said? Why is someone bringing up something that's going to bring fear? And at that time, and I guess for eons before, if they had wanted to take humanity out, everything, they could have done that. And they could have many, many times over. And they haven't. They have not done that. And so, and I relate that too to the Sasquatch. You see all that fear and all that other stuff, and you understand where their fear comes from because they don't understand what they're seeing. But if you put that out, then, you're easily controlled. And that's what we have to be careful about with, just in our own thinking. Why is someone putting this out? Can you tell me why you were afraid? Is it maybe you misunderstand their nature? So,
Well, unfortunately, there are some actual, violent people out there who want to kill Sasquatch,
yeah.
and they certainly don't want anyone else to stand in their way of doing that either. So, some people out there are
Yeah.
dangerous.
I've got a very good friend who years ago was actually on a like a SWAT team. They were sharpshooters, and his whole shift in thinking about what the Sasquatch were was because he had his rifle pointed at one through this high power scope and everything. And when the Sasquatch turned around, he just started shaking because he was getting ready to shoot at that point. But when he turned around and looked at him, he said it was like he looked right through that scope at me. And I saw, this is not an ape or an animal.
Right.
And his whole everything changed. So, that's.
And I don't think that was just a look, because these Sasquatch people have a way of transferring their emotions, their intent, their energy.
Yep.
They actually project it into you, which is a very high spiritual practice, to be able to project joy or hate or anger or fear into people. This is not for rookies, that's for sure. And they can do that.
Yeah.
They can do that.
Oh yeah.
And you have to ask yourself, well, why would they do that? Most everything they do, as far as we're related, from my life, is done with purpose. It's not just something that happened, it's done with purpose. And that brings in a lot of different things as to, why they did that. But they're, in my understanding and my experience, they're here to help us. They want to help us. And so many of them are doing that now. And I love seeing people who are talking about, having that healing, or, that understanding. Graham, in your book, when you were writing your book and you were being given, of course, what to write, how much did you feel their wisdom was?
It was striking because the wisdom that I was absorbing from having telepathic conversations with them wasn't something that I had possession of myself until they shared it with me. So that was one sign that this isn't just my own mind talking to me. This is somebody who's like a couple of steps, at least, to say the least, beyond me, who's giving me some information that I didn't have before.
Yeah.
Other times, they often remind me of things I already know, but that I so often forget. And they seem to want to say, well, listen, you already know this. So they'll tell me something I may already know, but I haven't thought about it for so long. And if I had just thought of it that way, it would have been so much easier. So I'm like, oh, thank you for reminding me of that. That's definitely wisdom, and that's wisdom that that I do possess. But other times there's information coming in that definitely doesn't have anything to do with something I'd come up with ever before.
That's one of the cool things about working with them is, you know, the things that they so willingly give us. I mean, if your heart's open and what you're doing is a purpose of the heart, then I mean, they're an open book and will just talk with you about so many things, and even little day-to-day things.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah.
I've actually been fortunate enough to have them basically guide me through days that I just couldn't handle. Like I couldn't sort of put one and one together and get two. Then they would sort of do it for me, and I say, well, one's over here, the other one's over there. Put them together, you got two, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Now what do I do? Tell me. And they're like, go ahead and do this. And I'm just like, all right, sure.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, thanks. I didn't really want to think today.
Yeah. I
Hold
know
my
those
brain
They
for
know
me.
the human condition. They understand that. They're very
Yeah,
loving.
they
understand
do.
us, yes.
Yeah, they definitely do. Yeah, there are times too when I'm not disconnected, but it's like I am craving to be in this space that has nothing to do with what's going on around me, as far as my daily life or whatever. And the hairy kids, they are continually doing something. If I'm having a hard time of trying to work through something, they're like every day they're doing something. They leave something on the porch, or they leave it at the tin, or it's in the path, or it just, you know, a funny memory pops into my head that I hadn't thought about in quite a while, and I've probably forgotten more than, you know, oh my gosh, because I get triggered every now and then, and I'm like, oh, I forgot about that.
Right.
I don't write down many things, and so it's like, oh, thank you. I needed that. I needed help.
They're very helpful. They're very loving
Yeah.
and helpful. Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Here's a nice thing that one of the juveniles that we made contact with said to Aimee. Do you want to read it, Aimee?
Sure. It says, Aimee, you are a lovely flower because you gather up all that is beautiful and plant like a garden. And that was from Actanera, and his name means the earth is my home.
Oh, wow. That's so
Isn't that
sweet.
beautiful?
Yeah. That
Yeah.
is, yeah. They
They call her Flower Heart Soul.
That's the
That's Amy's Sasquatch name.
flower heart
I
soul.
wanted to ask if Amy, do you get the mind speak often or at all?
I do. I do. It's not as, I wouldn't say it's as fluid. Well, sometimes it is as Graham's. He seems to have a little bit more in-depth conversations, but I do get the mind speak quite a bit. I have a lot of contact with Graham's teacher is Odin, and he has a wonderful wife who I gave the name Odiana because it's similar to Odin, and their daughter Katasha. Is that right?
Yeah.
And I often, especially when I'm having problems, Odiana comes to me, and she always comes to me with a flower in her hair. But and sometimes I get pictures, and other times I get words and sentences. I remember she often shows me with her and myself and Katasha sitting in a row and we're braiding each other's hair. It's very lovely. And one time, Katasha told me, gave me mind speak, and she told me, she said, "Come with me and let's listen to the earth's sounds." And it was so beautiful. So,
oh yeah, she said, "Come listen to the earth's music with me."
come, that's what
I
it
wrote
is.
that one down.
oh sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. So I often do get, messages and, yeah, another time, Graham and I forget which star family it was, but we were in Perth and we were looking out the window. It was one of our frequent flyers. They would always come. I'm not sure. And there was two spaceships, and I looked up and I said, "Is he your younger brother?" And then he communicated back through Graham, "Yes, Amy, he is my younger brother." So I communicate lots of ways with them. I get impressions, I get actual sentences, I get like I said, lots of things, signs. But yeah. When I stopped, at first I was like, I had a hard time with it because I was like, am I just making this up in my head? And when I let go of that and just went with it, it became more fluid. And so I know when I actually get a honest to God message or communication, I believe it to be true. But yeah.
Could you both back up like a year or two before you guys started getting mind speak and having a real heart connection with something? What tell us about the very beginning? What led up to this whole process? Because the whole point of Pork and Beans is to interview people who are friends with the Sasquatch people, and that's the story that I think people need to hear.
Sure. Well, for me, it started with Kelly Rainbow Butterfly. Her and I were, she was a Florida girl that moved to Arkansas, and I was a California girl that moved to Arkansas. And we got a job at the same place. It was a photography place. And Kelly and I hit it off right away, and we became best of friends. And throughout the years, and one day she called me up and she just said, I need you to come over. I need to share something with you. So I said, okay. I was really intrigued. And I went over there and she told me about her psychic experience with George, her Sasquatch teacher. And it was the first communication she ever had. And I'm very, like I said, I'm very open. And I already believe sort of in Sasquatch, even though I hadn't had experience yet. And I was fascinated. I was there for it. I was intrigued. I was excited. I couldn't wait to hear more. And so as Kelly and George's relationship kind of continued, I got to be friends with George too. And I asked Kelly first, I was like, well, does George have any messages for me? And I believe the first message he had for me was Earth Magic. And it's a book by Stephen Farmer. And he said, you should get this book. And I immediately bought the book and read it. I told Grandma I would like to get it again and reread it. But so that was beautiful. And then George started to communicate with me directly. And I would hear messages and then I just started having other experiences with other Sasquatch. And, Arkansas is a hot spot for, there's lots of Sasquatch there. And then the first time Graham came to visit me, he he said he wasn't even at the house for very long. And he's like, you know, there's a Sasquatch here, right, in your house. And I was like, really? And it was my guardian, Contantac. And after Graham pointed it out, I was like, I could totally see and feel the energy. And then we started to communicate with him. And it kind of went from there. And then, yeah. Then I was like wide open to it. And another time, I don't mean to jump around, but I have so many great memories. Another time in particular, I was going out with some friends who I hadn't really spoke to about Sasquatch. We just hadn't discussed that. And so I decided, well, I'm not going to do it now. Let's just see if anything comes of it. So we went to this wonderful spot, and it was like a bed, a dry bed, and it had like really huge cliffs that were kind of bordering it.
Like there was a dry creek bed?
Dry, yes. And so I started to, I was looking down, there's so many rocks and beautiful, you know, ground and leaves. And I found a heart-shaped rock, and I'm all about hearts. Like my name means beloved. I collect hearts. I'm all about love. It's you know, perfect for me. So I found this heart-shaped rock, and I got so excited, and I knew instantly that it was from a Sasquatch. So when I found it, and I looked up to the cliffs, and I held it up, and I would actually see like psychically a Sasquatch face. So I was so excited, and I didn't say anything to the other people I was with. And then I just kept looking, and I found 14 heart-shaped rocks. Every time I found a rock, I would hold it up, and it would be a different Sasquatch face. And I had it, like, I put them all in my pockets. I was so happy. And then after we were sort of done doing our thing, they were walking back to where we were parked, and I was sort of the last one. And all of a sudden I look over, and I can actually see, so emotional. It was like a clan, and it was the women, and they were all standing there. And by each next to each female Sasquatch was like a bassinet with their baby Sasquatch in it. And the bassinets looked all different. They were on like sort of stilts, because when there is running water, and they had like sticks and like clay, and it was so beautiful. And I could see like the outline of like the babies in the bassinets. And then I just started crying, and I kept it to myself, because like I said, I was with people that I didn't know if they believed, and it was so personal and so beautiful. And that was sort of the last thing they showed me, because they know I also love children, like human children, Sasquatch, all the children and animals. I just have big love for. And it was
how many of the mothers did you see? Was it like 4 or more?
It was probably like about 7, maybe
7?
8. They were all, yes, and they were like, like, it was almost like an homage to me. And it also spoke to me, because I've never had children of my own, but I'm sort of like the auntie and to all the kids, right? Any kids I meet, I'll be the auntie. But I think they were also showing me that, because I love the kids, and I'm a childless mother is what I am. You know what I mean? So it was like the most beautiful thing, and so special with the babies, like it's so sacred. And I was so honored, and their bassinets were so beautiful, and they were all different sizes and different. It was amazing. It was just amazing.
Were they partially cloaked, or were they just
partially cloaked? Yes.
Or were they just hiding in the bushes there a little bit?
No, they were partially cloaked. I could see them clear as day in my mind's eye, but they were partially cloaked. And you know, what's really interesting, Michael, is the friend that was sort of in front of me. I was, like I said, I was trailing behind, and as I was seeing this, he was just walking with his head forward, and all of a sudden he stopped, and he looked to the side, and I was like, "Oh my God, can he?" And he like looked around, and then he just looked forward and kept walking, and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" I didn't know if he had picked up on the energy. Yeah, it was amazing. I didn't even want to leave. I didn't want to leave.
Well, that's astounding.
Yeah. Was that in Arkansas or?
Yes, it was Arkansas. That's right.
Oh,
Yes.
that's that Arkansas. Of course, I'm just right at Arkansas,
I know.
so, and I've spent a lot of time up in northwestern
Oh, yeah.
Arkansas. And my grandmother, who taught me about them when after I had my first encounter at 6, grew up in Arkansas and she was in the Boston Mountain. And so they were all over that area as
Oh,
a
yeah.
girl. And of course, that's where she learned about them too, was there in Arkansas.
Yeah, Arkansas is very beautiful. I always, I know there's lots of Sasquatch in California too, but I guess I wasn't in the area or open to it or what have you. But Arkansas was very special that way. Yes, I ended up living there for about 9 years. And to be honest, I did not want to move there. I was, city girl. I was, California girl. And I was like, I don't want to move to Podunk, whatever. But as it turns out, Arla, I am a country girl. And Arkansas is one of the most beautiful states there ever was. I know it's one of the most poor states, and my mother, she had never been there before, but when she was getting ready to retire, she wanted more bang for her buck. And she had driven through, the states. And so Arkansas was one of the states that she had a realtor, find some property. And she went to go look, and that was her final decision, and the actual name, it was the cherry on top of the sundae. That the city that she ended up moving to is called Flippin, and my mom just loved that. Flippin, Flippin. There's the Flippin Church of God, the Flippin Police. It's hilarious. But as it turns out, my mom and my grandmother and grandfather are buried there, and so it's sacred to me, even for many reasons. Yeah. And I have come to contact and be in contact with, several of my reincarnated selves, and one of them is a Sasquatch, Atanatis, right?
Yes.
Atanatis.
Atanatis.
Because she has a name that's very similar to my star person reincarnation, right there, Atanatis, and her name means Earth Witch.
Well, she is an Earth Witch.
She is an Earth. Yeah.
The impression I got.
She is an Earth Witch.
We sort of contacted Atanatis at the same time while we were in conversation with each other, and Atanatis claims to be a different incarnation of Aimee herself.
Right. And
wow.
So, yeah, it's amazing. So
I always thought that was possible, that we have major and minor selves, that or fragments of the same soul.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Too.
Yeah. So I asked her to check on my mama and my grandparents, and she said she does, and she will continue to do so. And
go ahead.
Yeah. Oh,
I was just going to ask you if your mom and grandparents were still there in Arkansas.
They are buried there. I don't have much family left, but that's where their resting place is, and they spent the last part of their life there. And that's not where my mother grew up or anything like that. But yeah, that's where their final resting place is all together. And when I was living there, my grandfather was already passed away, and I used to go up, and it's just a little country cemetery right down the street from where my mom lived. And I used to go there and would sit on my grandfather's grave and talk to him and cry and laugh. And so it's a very special place and they're all together, right? They're all together, and it's special. So I really do have love for Arkansas for many reasons, but yeah. And I'll say another thing, A Thanatos told me one time that when I was floating down the Buffalo River, she was watching over me. And that was years before I even met Graham. And the Buffalo River is stunning. So that was like a nice confirmation, because I took only one float trip down the Buffalo River. It was a 3-day tour. We didn't mean for it to be that long, but I thought, how beautiful is that? She was watching me, like, just take in this beautiful, the Buffalo River. You know the Buffalo River, right?
Yeah. Yes,
Stunning.
it is.
Stunning. And so that was another confirmation. I really loved that, because I had forgotten about the Buffalo River. And when she mentioned that, I was like, oh yeah, she was there with me. So it's great. Lots of good stuff.
How far is Flippin from Eureka Springs?
Oh, about okay, I did go to Eureka Springs. I would say, now I'm just guessing, it's been a while, maybe about an hour.
Okay.
Maybe something like that. It's a little bit of a drive. I love Eureka Springs. Oh my goodness. When I came to visit before I moved to Arkansas, when I still didn't really want to, I told my mom, oh, Eureka Springs. I said, if I move to Arkansas, I'm going to move to Eureka Springs. Mom goes, good luck with that, honey. You need some money for that. But it's so beautiful.
It is. It's
Yeah.
really a
Special
cool area.
Yeah, very much so.
It is. I've some workshops up there, and just spent time up there with friends. And Kashima had told me, we were outside of Eureka Springs, and another friend and I were hiking and looking actually for natural springs. And we found, several. And Kashima was talking about there are some huge rocks there that have Sasquatch drawings on them that tell stories about them in that area. And I've never got to go back and walk through that area. But I don't know, it's just like I love the thought that there is a history that they have put into the rock, and for it to be held. I've never heard anyone say anything about finding any like petroglyphs or anything through there, but I know there are somewhere. I just don't know where.
That's interesting.
I remember on an indigenous territory, they showed a rock where a Sasquatch face had been drawn on a large rock that was embedded in the ground. And it made it obvious that, this is where the Sasquatch are. This is the territory of the Sasquatch. So to respect the territory, you don't go farther than the rock.
Wow, yeah.
But I also, that's just something I saw. But myself, in Missouri, I found some carvings that I believe were carved by Sasquatch into rocks that usually would be submerged by a lake. But in 2012 in Missouri, the summer was so hot that the lake bed dried up, like quite a few feet of the lake was gone. And it revealed things that I think had not been accessible for a long time. And some of these carvings were one of those things in an area where there were some Sasquatch goings on. So I attribute the carvings to them.
Wow, that's really cool. And I mean, it stands to reason, why couldn't they do that? That's a part of their history as well. So, for people to say, oh, why would Sasquatch do that? Well, they would do that because they chose to do it, I'm quite sure. And, for a purpose too. So, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I think actually an old friend of mine found stone carvings in a cave once. So I think stone carving is something they may do sometimes. Or perhaps the first one I mentioned, that was something that I saw. Perhaps the drawing was done by Indigenous people. I don't know, just to warn their fellow tribe members not to go farther than that point. So it could have been drawn by either party.
Well, they could carve that into rock in any way they chose to. They could do it purely thought process. If they wanted to do it that way, they don't have to have tools or anything to do things. So yeah, that's I always thought, well, I know I'm going to be back up here in Northwest Arkansas, and I know that I can go back in there and hike, and there's so much water there and little creeks and things that go here and there and springs and everything. I just thought, I'm gonna come back and go and sit with those, but I didn't get to do that. So maybe another time.
Yeah, another time.
Aimee and I were headed towards a location in Missouri, and we got lost. And I'm pretty sure we ended up in Oklahoma.
Oh, that's right. We were.
So that's the only time
we've been.
We've been to Oklahoma was when we got lost.
I've driven through it, yeah.
And yeah, we were in this really obscure junction. And yeah, actually, I got out of the car to look around, and I saw a UFO, and I said to Aimee, do you want to see your first UFO? Because she hadn't seen one yet. And she was like, no, I want to know where we are, right?
Well, I did want to see it, but we were like on a mission, like to get to where we needed to go. We spent like all day and most of the night. We finally made it at like 3 a.m, right? And then I got to see a bunch more UFOs.
That's for sure.
When we got there, I was like, they were like happy we made it. They were like celebrating with us. I was like, my bum was like, fell asleep. We were in the car so long. So yeah, that was our experience with Oklahoma. It was just like a little corner of it.
Yeah, we just managed to get into the corner and then had to go, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But hopefully we'll be able to visit sometime.
Yeah, then I'll be able to see a UFO from Oklahoma.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm sure you'll see it over there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And other ways too. So yeah. But yeah, you guys are always welcome here.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Take you up on that sometime.
Well,
come and see and camp out.
I'd love that. They would too. Everything here would. It's like I said before, the last gathering I had, everything here was, they were revved up. There was stuff going on constantly. Number one, they knew if they were going to come here and be here, that they were approved to be
right
here,
right.
So they knew that the party was on. and it definitely was on.
Nice.
So yeah.
Fun. Awesome.
Arla and I were talking in the beginning here about energy transfer. So I was actually talking about energy transfer, from masters to students and from high beings, and you can feel them. So if you just have a vision, if they're showing you a picture or you just feel like they're around, there's an energy transference there, and that can be any kind of energy. So I was just wondering if you guys remember getting like any kind of powerful transference of energy, which some people call that downloads, but it doesn't have to be any information at all. It's just this presence. So have you ever had any of those kind of experiences with the Sasquatch?
Well, there's a tough one for me a bit because I think that's exactly what happened. Is I was, so far down the trail and several hundred feet behind me, I felt there was a Sasquatch. So I looked behind myself and I didn't see anything. I'm nearsighted, so it was too far away for me to see. And my hearing is great, but for some reason I didn't pick up a couple of vocalizations the Sasquatch made that were picked up because I had the camera rolling. And so I got like a few seconds of a very distant, blurry figure, and actually psychically asked the individual to wave to us, wave hello.
Right.
And you can kind of see a blur where he's waving like frantically, and you can kind of see his figure, but it's so far away. I've never shown it publicly because I just figure people are going to complain and say, well, you know, I don't really see anything, and blah, blah, blah. But I did also do work on the audio for the vocalizations to bring out the sound of the vocalizations clearly, and so you can get an idea of what kind of vocalizations they were. And so I psychically sensed a Sasquatch who must have made this kind of energy transference to me in order to make me aware that he was there. But my eyes weren't good enough and my ears weren't good enough to realize that he was there, because I was just a little too far away and my camera didn't have enough zoom on it to get a clear picture. And that was the closest probably anyone's come to the shot that everybody's looking for, that clear shot of a Sasquatch, right? And this individual volunteered for that. So they're not totally against being photographed. Sometimes they are, of course, but not as an absolute.
It's their choice.
Yeah,
Right.
he chose, he wanted to be photographed.
Right.
Yeah, and they can be in your picture, and then you look at it later, and where'd they go? They're not in your picture anymore. So it's yeah, it's
Actually,
quite an interesting world.
I was going to show that video and play the audio that had been worked on at the it was in 2019, the Psychic Sasquatch Spiritual Retreat and Reunion, I guess it was called, in 2019 in Washington. And I just ran out of time, so I didn't get to show it. So nobody's seen that yet, or heard it, but
Kelly and I
maybe sometime. Yeah, Amy was with me and Kelly was with me.
Yeah,
when that was
I
filmed.
totally can see it in the video, but
yeah, I think if you're willing to see it, you
right.
can. But if you want to be a complainer, right, which most people on the internet are, I think, you're not going to see a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, to answer your question, Michael, for me, I know one time in particular, I was in Arkansas in my house, and I had recently been in a car accident, and I had broken my collarbone. So I was at home, and I was in a sling and a cast, and I was sitting on the couch. I was actually talking to Graham on the phone, and he was in Canada, and all of a sudden I just heard this huge noise. It sounded like it was a train just right in front of me, and I can feel this energy from behind me and around me protecting me, and I was like, what is that? And it turned out that it was a gentleman, an older gentleman that had a heart attack, and he crashed his car into a house and took out part of my porch and scraped his car. He was not even a foot away from me. And I think that Katantak had put energy, because he was coming straight for me as I was sitting on my couch. And it almost Katantak put out his hand like that. So the gentleman just took out my poles, for the porch, just took out the front porch and then hit the house right next to me. And then I opened the door, and I was like, oh, the roof was kind of coming down. And I could say that was when I had felt Katantak's energy around me, protecting me. It was a trip. It was very scary, but yet it was very sort of calming at the same time.
Yes.
And nobody was hurt, and the gentleman did I think he did recover, but yeah. And then I could tell anytime that Katantak was there and his energy became more clear to me, like I was more connected with him, you know. And in fact, one of our contacts, Chief Artanis, just as we were walking, he gave us a message and said, please tell Aimee Katantak is with her. So Katantak is always with me. He's my guardian. So he's here. I think he likes our new home much better. He loved Arkansas, but he likes it here too. So that was then I got really aware of his energy, and I'm really in tune with it now. So yeah. Yeah.
Once Katantak made a good joke. He said,
Oh, yeah.
we came into the house, and you know, I guess it was the fall, and there's leaves everywhere, and we just track leaves into the house. So, you know, we come into this house full of leaves, and he's like, wow, it's just like home.
It was the same house in Arkansas. We laughed. Yeah, there was a bunch of leaves like right when you walk in, because we were just bringing them in off of our feet. And he said, oh yes, just like home. Yeah.
Oh,
You liked our decorative skills.
Yeah. And wasn't he the one that sort of was teasing George Kelly's? I think I asked Katantak, do you know George?
Oh yeah.
Kelly's teacher. He's like, yeah, George is party animal or something. And
he's a wild man.
A wild man, he calls him. And George really isn't, right? He's really chill, and he's like, yeah, George is a wild man. So they have great like respect, and they have great sense of humor for each other and for life. Really, it's cute, right?
Yeah, he gives you the scoop on his buddy. You might not know this, but
he's
George
a
is
wild
a
man.
wild man. He's really wild.
It's really cute.
Go figure.
Yeah, go figure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was thinking, Michael, you were asking like what had led up to these actual experiences for both of us. And I was thinking about how I think it was for like at least 2 years, if not more, I became fascinated with Sasquatch, but I had never seen a Sasquatch. And I wasn't quite decided if they were real or not, but I was really interested. And I decided to research everything I could find about the Sasquatch on the internet. I'd read things as a child and always been interested as a child, and I guess seen a lot of documentaries and stuff like that. But I actually was so obsessed I'd stay up till 7 a.m. just researching stuff on the net, and it never ended. Like all my spare time was put into researching the Sasquatch, and I had a lot to say about it after a while because I'd read so many interesting stories. And but I didn't predict that I actually would see one myself one day, which of course eventually did happen. And that was in Missouri in 2012. And that's also where the telepathy developed, which I call quantum communication in my book series, or it will be a series once the second one comes out, I guess. And yeah, just I guess I never thought my life would be so rich with things that are truly miraculous, really. Right. I think, this sort of phenomena is truly miraculous, both to Aimee and to myself, and to most people who experience this.
True and miraculous. That kind of sums up the Sasquatch people in a big way.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. Yeah, it's I guess a lot of people are arguing about the whole flesh and blood argument that, what we're saying about this so-called paranormal aspect or whatever is nuts or whatever. And it's like, well, I guess it would be nuts if anything paranormal was nuts, but the paranormal is not madness. The paranormal has been documented for thousands of years by human cultures all over the world. And there are some things that are just more anomalous than others. That's why we, of course, would use a word like anomalous. It's an anomaly. It's an anomaly
Right.
because it just doesn't usually happen. And so people figure, well, that type of thing doesn't usually happen, so these people must be lying or crazy, right? And you know, just because things don't usually happen doesn't mean that they don't.
Right.
And the thing about that is anybody can have this. Anybody can have this connection to them.
Right.
You know, all they have to do, shift their paradigm, open their heart, connect that brain and that heart together, and the experiences that you can have just by doing that are phenomenal. I've seen it happen time and time and time again over my life in this, in talking with people. Well, tell me how I can at least see one. Be respectful, shift your
Right.
paradigm,
Right.
open your
And you don't
heart.
have to go to the woods. I mean,
No,
probably both Aimee and Graham have more experiences in their house or just walking around where they are than they have from going out and camping. Because the Sasquatch wants your friends, they're close by where you live.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
My first experiences were what, of course, is called a habituation situation, where the Sasquatch live in the area that you live in, and you're actually sharing the same space, and they come on the property, and
Right.
they came right by the kitchen window, and even one came in cloaked once into the house once. And that was no joke. I mean, there was the outline.
No, I've had that experience of full invisible cloaked.
Right.
I can take back with a picture of them.
And I mean, I guess if you weren't looking very hard, you could miss the individual, but it was quite clear to me the outline of a human figure right in front of me. This was not a large Sasquatch, by the way. This was a smaller female, and along the outline of her body were all like glittery, looked like LED lights, almost like from a, you know, those LED lights you can buy at the dollar store,
Like
or
the
something.
fairy lights or something, yeah.
It went all around her body and around her features, and I could see her features and actually see through her. Other than that, she was transparent. And she came in front of me in the bedroom and then turned around and walked out the wall. And that was it.
Through the wall.
Just walked through the wall.
Well, I've heard stories like that before, but it's got to be, you know, this is the thing. We go back to what you're saying about your energy and stuff. I've had like hundreds, like not hundreds, but dozens of spiritually transformative experiences. And, you know, but to me, it just feels normal. I feel like a normal human being, you know, and when these things happen, whether it's something with the Sasquatch or something with the star people or something with the angels or something with the masters, it doesn't feel abnormal. It feels pretty much normal. And I think that we've been gypped as kids when told that, you know, all that stuff is fantasies and dreams. When in fact, when you have these experiences, it's normal. I feel normal.
And it is. It's, you know, and of course for me, paranormal never existed as far as what society says paranormal is. My normal was paranormal. So, you know, and for a lot of us, it's that way. And so what we have is not outside the normal for us.
Not
And
for
actually, yeah, you know, and for anybody. And that's the thing I try to impress upon people. Anybody can experience this. Anybody can experience that people say is outside the normal. You just have to open up to it, and it's right there. And people are doing stuff all the time, like telepathing. And I mean, I would tell a story about Matthew. I was outside doing some things, and he come out to see, you know, see what I was doing. He went on to his shop, and I thought he was down in his shop. And so I walked down there to tell him, because I knew he was going to go to the dollar store, and I was going to ask him how much he thought another hose would cost. So I get to the shop, and he's not there. And I look, and the car's gone, and I'm like, well, I don't know. Maybe he had another errand to check the mail, or, you know, something. So I go on in the house, and I'm doing something in the kitchen, and he walks in the house, and I said, I was going to call you and to see if you were at the dollar store. I was going to have you look at a water hose. He had a water hose in his hands. He had that communication, you know, between us without words, and I'm sure you guys, you know, do that as well, but we do it with other people as well. And it's a very normal thing. And people who say, oh, you can't have mind speak, or you can't telepath, I'm sure have done it at some time or another, and they're just not going to admit, you know, or to think that's what it was.
Well, it's interesting because most people can do the very thing that creates mind speak or telepathy, which is just to think a few words in your head, like well, hey, I think I'm going to go to the store. And if you can kind of say that in your head instead of out loud, well, you've done it. That's all it is.
Right.
And then eventually, maybe if you're exposed to people or beings who are capable of it, eventually you'll be able to pick up the communications that they are directing.
Yes.
Toward.
Yeah. And you know,
that's what happened, I guess, to me.
Yeah. Right? My thought was, you know, I'm going to go down there and tell him or ask him how much a hose was, and, you know, whatever. And he's not there. So I'm thinking, well, whenever he gets back, I'll ask him then. Well, he comes in with a water hose. So, you know,
I love that.
You know, it's just that you put it out there. My daughter and I do it all the time. You know, of course we are connected, but I do it, you know, and other people do it with me that I really don't even know, because one of us will say something and the other one is already thinking it.
Right.
And so it's out there. So if you just accept that those things are a possibility, you don't even have to say, yeah, but that can't happen. Just let it be a possibility.
Right.
I think if a person doesn't want to have the experience, well, of course they won't.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
They don't want it.
Denial is a really powerful thing. It's a really powerful thing. People deny whole worldviews.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's easier for some people to just say it can't happen. You know, that's not right. You know, science hasn't said that that's what's happening. And the truth of the matter, 75 years ago, if you'd look at the science and what science had proved then, the things that are going on now, there would be people saying, oh, that'll never happen. That can't happen.
Exactly.
Right.
You know, and it happened. And science, of course, got on board with, that happening too. So, yeah, we're in such an exciting time.
It gets really emotional when you are confronted with something that's paranormal and you don't believe in the paranormal. Because what happens is you actually have to your life falls apart.
Yes, it does.
And not in and then as it falls apart, you have to rebuild your life to include psychic phenomena and paranormal phenomena. And that's painful because it's like a mini death, the death of your old way of thinking. And a lot of people talk about that as I'm thinking new, have a new understanding, and they had to rebuild themselves with a more open experience. Yeah.
Yeah. And I say this all the time, that when you are confronted with something that you hold as your life truth, and then you find out that life truth that you're holding on to is not a truth at all, then you begin to ask yourself, what else in my life that I believe is not true? And that's a scary place to be for a lot of people, is thinking, well, if I thought that was true and it wasn't, what else in my life is not true? So they've got to get through that before they can even really look at it.
Right.
I went through having not really anger, but just sort of kind of a boundary of mine rose when I realized, well, I thought of it in terms of this. I thought everything I've been told is true is false. Everything I've been told is false is true. Because of the environment I was in was so unusual that it just turned my whole reality upside down.
Yes.
Completely. And I felt like, that wasn't very nice of them to do that to me. All of these things aren't real. Right. Now I find out they are real.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I count myself so lucky that I had my grandmother. And my family just accepted me as that weird kid anyway. So it did, even the ones that didn't go down the rabbit hole with my grandmother and I. But and I try to be conscious always when I'm working with someone who doesn't understand and is having a problem seeing through their fear and through their misunderstanding, and through that thing of, I was told this wasn't true, and now I'm having to deal with that because I didn't have to go through that. And that's been a learning lesson for me, for sure, is to make sure that I'm listening to what they're saying, and more than listening, trying to feel into what they're saying and how they understand. So it's for all the people who couldn't believe in fairies and everything else, I just
talking about that.
We were just talking
about fairies.
Yeah.
And people either believing in it or not, and why they would not believe it or why they would. So it made me think of there's 2 movies that came out about these photos that were taken, I believe, in the 19th century.
Yeah.
And there's never been any evidence that these photos were altered in any way. And there's
All right, because they were on film, right?
They are
Right, they proved that it was real.
quite real, the specimens in these photos. And there's one movie called
Fairy Tale, A True Story, and then the other one is called
Photographing Fairies.
Right.
Aimee saw that movie and I saw the Photographing Fairies movie, but there's actually the same,
just a different perspective.
Historical story.
Yes.
And yeah, so those photos are absolutely authentic to this day. And of course, it was a lot harder to fake things back then with,
right?
Authentic,
the primitive
single exposure
photography
film,
technology.
yeah.
So pretty interesting.
They are a part of some indigenous people's lives as well. Virginia Stroud, who's Cherokee artist, she painted lots of fairies into hers with the little people and, you know, the others. And so it's there if you just look at it. And, you know, in myth, there is more truth in myth than most people ever realize. The same as a lot of the movies that we watch, there is, and especially, you know, if you're talking about the star people and things like that, and of course Sasquatch. I mean, Harry and the Hendersons, you know, there's so much in that that's just like somebody had to know something to do that movie.
Oh wow, know that.
Yeah, we just have to be open to see those things, and it's all out there, and it's been out there. And I love it when I go back and watch an old movie or something.
Yeah,
I go, yep, it's right there. It's right there.
Remember I think Steven Spielberg and George Lucas with their movies, I think they had a lot of insight, you know, like Star Wars. Or
there was a really interesting press conference put on by astronauts who were scheduled to travel to Mars, and then were dismissed by NASA. So I don't remember their names, of course, but they were studying photos of Mars, some of which showed what do you call it when images are carved into the planet's surface? There's a name for that.
Like an autogeo, or is that what you're?
As in, like, a photo from space of the surface of Mars exposed areas that appeared to be artificially created.
Yeah.
And one of them was a carving of a human face.
Oh, right.
And they also I guess in other news, they found the chemical that is required to make nuclear weapons with, which can only be artificially created they found this chemical on Mars. So they know that there was some sort of intentional nuclear activity that went on that planet at one time, which might explain why so much of it is barren, and it once had huge oceans and now has less water than it did originally.
Yeah. So
it seemed that maybe Lucas could have had some information along those lines. I don't know if he had an inside, if he was an insider of some kind. That's what people, of course, have suggested, that he was given classified files in order to use the material to make movies that would kind of help the population adjust to the idea of alien life coming to visit us one day.
Yeah, I do believe that too. I believe we've been fed soft serve all along
Right.
the way,
Yes.
so that it makes it a little more
Easy
acceptable.
to digest. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. So we are living in some awesome times. I mean, we are right here at that time of the dimensional shift.
I know, it's exciting.
Just so exciting, and yeah, it's every day, and I see more and more and more things going on that really makes my heart happy. Yeah, there's still the same old stuff that goes on, but I see more and more. When I first came into the world of, actually, I call it Bigfoot dumb, not DUMB, DOM. That's the people in the Bigfoot world. Bigfoot dumb, like kingdom.
Yeah.
Instead of not dumb, but kingdom.
Right.
Bigfoot dumb. It has changed just amazingly. You did not see on Facebook many groups that you were allowed to talk about what people say are the paranormal aspects of
course,
the Sasquatch, or you were eaten alive. People attempted to eat me alive for many years, but didn't make it. So, because I'm still here.
Good.
Yeah.
But now there are literally, I don't know, it's like I see a new group. I get invited to a new group. We just got this group, and it's like, let's talk about everything.
Nice.
You're just be respectful. I see that over and over. These are the rules. Talk respectfully, to people. And I just go, that's awesome, because you got all of these different groups and all of this energy and all of these people trying to understand and grasp what's going on. Why is this happening? And why is this happening? And why did I see this? And instead of taking it to Messenger, you talk about it openly in the group.
Right.
And that says a lot for the consciousness of humanity, because people are willing now to look at it in a totally different view. I don't know how the UFO community will be. I've never been active in the UFO community. Like I said,
They were the same back in the day. They were like trolls. I mean, they had government trolls, and
Yep,
and
exactly.
everybody had confusing ideas, and they were arguing a lot and
yeah,
making fun of people who had real heart-touching kind of stuff. So, yeah, I was a moderator on a big group back then, and I used to cut those guys out.
yeah. So I don't know what I'm up against here with this light codes video that I videoed. So far, I've not had anyone come up and tell me I can't put it somewhere or do whatever with it. Even the response on my YouTube page, however small my YouTube page is now, have been very good. And even like, sharing it, I am not getting the backlash that I got early on with talking about the Sasquatch people. It's not anywhere near, but I'm not putting it in groups where there are groups of piranhas just waiting to jump on somebody either. So that may have, some bearing on it too.
I got that video of just the light codes if you wanted.
So,
Yeah.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, we would love that.
You want to see that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
to
I
watch it repeatedly, I think is a good idea.
Michael,
what?
Michael, you made the state. What was it you said when we had?
Oh, I got overdosed on that thing. Because I was doing I was doing the edit. I was doing the edit, and it's
That
like, what?
explains everything.
What?
That explains everything. Yeah, I think prolonged exposure to UFOs is very good for you,
Yeah,
as well as to Sasquatch.
that's right.
And
They're
that
working
change
together. So
from
Yep.
from who and what you were before will change the more you're around Sasquatch, the more you're around
true.
UFOs or star people or whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
It transforms a human being from one point to another
Yeah, for sure.
of consciousness, I think.
Yeah, it helps us see who we really are. We begin to understand that. And when you get to that point that you go, wow, it's like I got here because I had this help. The Sasquatch helped me, the star people helped me, they supported me and helped me to open up even deeper. And yeah, I get way excited over this stuff. So
Worth getting excited about.
I believe that the Sasquatch essentially arranged Aimee and my marriage.
oh, yeah.
Aimee and mine's marriage, because there's a certain date that came up twice in a row, strangely. In 2012, I arrived in Missouri for the second time, and my girlfriend at the time, my relationship with her didn't work out, and I went to visit her on August 20th, 2012, and then exactly 1 year later, on August 20th, 2013, I met Aimee for the first time in Arkansas after things, had gone south with my ex. So I feel that the Sasquatch were kind of like, well, it didn't work out for you once. We're going to find you another one. So
Yeah.
On August 20th, be there or be square.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Exactly 1 year to the day. 1 year to the day. So I just think
that's awesome.
Somehow that I would happen to show up in this place, so far from my home, right? I was living in Vancouver, Canada at the time, and then I met somebody who lived in Missouri, and then a year later I meet Aimee, who came from California to Arkansas. So
and I lived in northern Arkansas. It was very close to where the spot in Missouri. It wasn't very far, right?
So that's the other thing. Just the Ozarks connection is so intense.
All right.
I never thought I'd go to the Ozarks. Knew nothing about the Ozarks.
I didn't think I would either.
I was about as non-Ozarks as you can get.
Yeah, me too.
White Canadian boy. White from the snow, as in, and just playing a lot of hockey and stuff like that. Right, listening to Rush. And playing hockey and being Canadian. I never thought I'd go to Missouri or Arkansas.
Yeah.
So and I'd never thought I'd see a Sasquatch or a UFO either. Oh wow! So this is the light code activation.
This is a light code activation. I changed the format a little bit, and I cut down on the music, and I think I took out the words too.
Well, Michael, I need to send you, if I haven't, the original where you hear me.
I got all that.
Okay.
Sasquatch, ancient, and other.
Can you hear that?
Together to help the earth and humanity. I was allowed to video this transmission as they knew I would share it in a good way. May it bless you as you open up your heart through your higher self to receive. Many blessings to you.
I love this. Oh, this reminds me of the those
Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Wow.
Wow. Where'd you go?
It'll be back.
Ah. This is tripping me out for many reasons, of course, but because it reminds me of an experience that Aimee and I had where there were these small discs hovering above a Walmart of all things in Arkansas. And they looked very similar to these objects in your video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting.
These are lights. This is actually 18 yards from me and begins at 2 foot from the ground. This is not in the sky. It is down low.
There seems to be so much communication that goes on in these processes.
It's got a real 3D feel to it.
Exactly.
Well, I was told that there are over 1 million codes in this 1 minute and 27-second video.
Wow.
Wow. I think there's going to be more and more of this happening.
Yeah. Oh, I don't doubt it at all. And, you know, and that's like people said, well, you took that in the sky. No, this wasn't in the sky. It was in the woods in a little clearing. You know, I was sitting there watching it before I started videoing. So, you know, so it helps to, in those codes, it helps to raise the consciousness of humanity. It can give you healings, a healing modality. If there is something that you want to know, if you're working on healing or whatever, you can set your intent and connect with those codes, and it will give you the information that you need to continue that. So when you work with the video, or even like if you're watching the video and there's a part of it that really speaks to you, I tell people, take a screenshot of that,
right,
and set with that screenshot. Just set your intention for what it is that you're wanting to know, wanting to do, whatever. And it will either be just downloaded to you and the information will be there, like in a library where you can access that at any time to get what it is that you need from it. It can help understand more our galactic neighbors and what it is that they're doing. If you even want to know something about a star system and who's working in that star system. So whatever your intent is, to be using something that is from your higher self, your super consciousness, it's there, and it's there for whomever. The codes can't be misused because you can't access them if you're not in that space of your higher self. So there's not a problem with that at all. And if someone were to get the codes and then something happened and they wanted to misuse them, they would be wiped out of their DNA. So there's no way that these can be used. That was, I don't know, I had different people ask me, well, what's going to happen if somebody gets these that's not supposed to have them? Well, if they're not supposed to have them, they're not going to have them. So it's that simple. you know, and, you know, of course, this is quantum energy, because we know that quantum energy doesn't just come in particles, it comes in waves and then is transferred to the electromagnetic part of our body. So that electromagnetic part, in part, is our aura. You know, we talk about that aura, that energetic space around us. That is part of our electromagnetic body. And so those codes can immediately connect into those. And I'm talking so far above my head right now, the things that they're telling me about this, I'm like, what? You know, wow, that's, you know, and then something comes up, and I know I talked with Ron Moorhead because he's so good with this quantum energetics and things, and it was like the I was just, you know, thinking about some of the things I had been told, and the things he said were exactly I totally understood, you know, what I had been told at that time. I just know that I know. And that's the space we all have to get to, is just to know that we know. And we don't have to put it into words. It doesn't have to be written out or anything else. We don't have to speak it. It's there.
This quantum aspect I find totally fascinating, quantum mechanics. And, you know, like, I mean, you don't have to go the scientific route if you don't want to. Perhaps more of a shamanic approach, like a traditional approach for some people that works better for them. I like both. You know, I feel the shamanic spirit and tradition of discovering these kinds of anomalous phenomena and peoples, and also the quantum mechanics, the scientific aspect of it, it interests me quite a bit as well, because I think it explains a lot of things that are otherwise sometimes seem to be unexplainable. So that's why I used quantum mechanics to provide examples and theories in my book. And yeah, that's how that came together. But obviously I'm no quantum mechanics expert, or I would have told you right away.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a quantum mechanic.
Yeah.
And in my years of quantum fixing of quantum cars, yeah, it sounds like a car mechanic. But anyway, actually, I have to take a short break, and I'll be right back. Aimee has to let me out because I'm trapped in this dimension. But I'll be right back, and Amy's going to take over.
Oh, good. Aimee, I wanted to ask you a question, a couple of questions.
Sure.
You're friends with Kelly Rainbow Butterfly.
That's right.
Did you ever talk to her about her having Sasquatch children?
Yes. Yes, I have talked to her. And I believe she actually has one that's named Charles, I believe. Or maybe that's her star family. It's been a while, Michael, since I've talked to her about that. But yes, I have talked to her about that.
I talked to her, and she said she has some Sasquatch. She's the genetic mother of some Sasquatch,
yes.
and she said that two of her friends also say that they have Sasquatch children. They're the genetic donors of Sasquatch babies.
Right. Yes, and I believe, like I said, she also has I think Charles is a, I just remember that name that's sticking out, but she has some star family. She's had many children, Sasquatch and star beings. Yeah, Kelly's very connected. She's she told me that a while ago, and I think Graham told me he does too.
Did you ever hear, are you friends with Penny Rummel? You probably know of her.
Yes, actually, I just met Penny at the camp out at Ari's camp out last year. I knew her, like, I think we were friends on Facebook, but that was the first time that we got to, you know, see each other in person. And she has a great story about the Sasquatch juveniles too, babies. Yeah, we shared both our
Yeah,
stories.
let me screen share this one as well. Whoop, this one, and share. Let's hit that. Can you see that?
Yes, I have seen that not too long ago. That is amazing. That makes me so happy.
Well, here's the thing. If you look at this, down here in the middle is Penny, and then there's to the left is a Sasquatch, and then to the right is a ET.
ET, yes.
Well, you're looking with this particular point of view, it's like a top down looking at it, and she remembers it from the top down like that. So she was both standing there looking from her point of view and from another point of view. But here's what it is. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 babies there.
Yes.
And they're in cribs.
Yes.
And they're on a spaceship.
Oh, I remember this.
Yes, I remember this too.
Okay, and all these babies are relatively the same age.
Right.
Okay, and it just made me think when you were telling your story about picking up the rocks, you know, the 7 plus 7 is 14 rocks. And then you
Right.
saw 7 mothers and 7 babies in a crib, in cribs, in homemade cribs.
Right.
See the outline of the babies.
Right. Wow, I didn't even think about that with the 7 and the
So
7.
if they're across a field with a baby on the ground, you're not going to see into the crib. There was
Right.
something else going on there. All I'm saying is, to me, there's a really good chance that you are not a barren woman, that you probably have at least 7 Sasquatch kids, and you need to feel into that because I'll stop the screen share, but you know, when you said you could see the babies, the outline of the babies, and it's like what do you think the chances are 7 Sasquatch conceiving
You're
at
right.
the same time, right?
Wow.
And then coming to see you and showing you
Right.
them and the babies.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's something to think about because there's a good chance that you know, you're one of those genetic donors and you got Sasquatch kids out there. And
I love that.
have you already seen them? You need to talk to some people about who can feel into it maybe.
Right. I do, and I will. Yeah, because I always felt like I am a mother, right? And I love the synchronicities. You're right, I need to delve into that. And Penny and I, we were like all sitting around at Brian's camp out, and we shared our stories. I even asked Penny, I said, do you have any children? And she said that, I mean, I hope this is okay to share. She said it in front of people, but she had one child when she was young. She gave him up for adoption. But basically, she lived this life as, you know, I think she might have stepchildren, but not as a mother. And I thought it was very special that they showed her these babies. But you're right, we're probably both mothers, maybe not human mothers, you know, but Sasquatch mothers, right? Yeah.
So for doing the pork and bean show, there was 3 women that we interviewed that had children from the Sasquatch, and then Kelly Rainbow Butterfly has 3 other women and I'm pretty sure it's worth looking into and
Yes, I will.
getting some energy back from that, because they just showed you. They didn't tell you.
No, they showed me.
Yeah.
It was very special. You're right. I will. And I need to talk to Kelly about that too. It's been a while, but I will, Michael. That's a great idea. It'll sure make my heart sing even more, right? It's worth finding out about.
Yep.
Yeah, well, just that you're both you and Graham have such an intimate connection with the Sasquatch people. It's not the usual intimate connection. It's pretty deep, familiar kind of a thing. Not familiar
Definitely.
like familiar, but like family.
Definitely.
Very much so. Yeah, my main teacher I ran into in Missouri when I was first there in 2012, and I'm always in contact with him. His nickname is Odin. He actually suggested that as a nickname himself. And but now we're like, we've been telling you, we just moved to a new place, which is, very much in a rural area or almost wilderness area.
Right.
And one thing that was interesting, I just keep thinking about it because it seems that a certain theme started after we went to meet up with Chief Ari and Brian and Susan Bland and Penny and lots of other great people in the camp out last year in BC.
Right.
While we were there, actually Tom Contral was there, and we were just hanging out, and he pointed out, look over there, there's something you may find interesting activity-wise. And we all looked, and we saw a larger figure in the woods and two smaller ones with eye shine, bright eye shine. And this was late afternoon, maybe like 5 in the afternoon. So almost evening, but not quite. But it was still quite bright out. And yet their eye shine was absolutely visible, which is interesting because in the past I'd only seen eye shine when it was pitch black from Sasquatch. And this eye shine was happening during the day. And at one point, this huge flash of light just came out from one of the little guys. I could see him down there. So, that's why I say little guy, down there in the bushes, 2 eyes. And this light just emanates from his eyes. This golden light just flashes out. And we were all like, whoa. And, that was all thanks to Tom pointing out this phenomena going on. And now we get here to Ontario, and we were sitting by the lake, and we just looked to our left, and there was this glittering object. It was actually on a bridge, which is otherwise surrounded by water, and a small
bridge,
sort of inlet and island that the bridge is connected to from sort of one spot of land over the water to another. And I thought, did somebody like hang up a sort of glittery ornament there for decoration, just for fun or something? Or, did I forget my mirror there or something? Like, what is flashing? There can't be anything flashing in that spot, because I was there 2 days before and there's nothing there that could possibly be reflecting. And there was nobody there with a flashlight or anything reflective whatsoever. And then I noticed there's not just one flashing light, but there's another. So I can see there's 2 eyes there. And there was one that was a bit taller, and then later we observed one that was
shorter,
a bit shorter. So a smaller individual, also with eye shine, was poking about in the bushes on this bridge. And during this whole time, the lights in their eyes were flashing on and off at a very rapid rate. And it actually reminds me very much of Arla's video of the light activation codes.
Oh, right.
Because it seemed to be some sort of
Code.
communication or Morse code. Yeah,
Morse
it seemed like
code.
Morse code, like beep, 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 beep. The light would flash on and off. And then
Was this the second time you saw light like that? Was that in the daytime or nighttime?
This was actually in the daytime as well.
In the daytime. Again, the first time was in the daytime too.
Yeah, so it's this 2 times now that I've seen eye shine during the day. And it was still light enough that we could see the outline of the individual's head.
Right.
You know, one side of their head and the other side of their head, and then there's one eye here, of course, and one eye there. And they were kind of shaking their head quite
side
a bit,
to side.
from side to side while doing this, and the lights are going on and off and on and off, and they're shaking their head like that, and the other one would kind of appear once in a while and do the same thing. And
yeah, they were juveniles because of the way they were acting, right?
They were juveniles.
Yeah, they were like playing. Like, it was like a playing thing, right?
Kind of a playing thing and a communication.
And they were definitely communicating with the eyes, but they seemed to be excited or something
at the same time.
And they were excited, I think, trying to get our attention.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
and then,
do you know what you're describing? Do you know what that light actually is?
What creates the eye shine in physiology?
Yeah, well, do you know what it actually is?
I don't think I know what it actually is.
Well, I'm an ex-yogi, okay, and I've been involved with masters, and one of the masters that I saw was this guy named Sri Chinmoy, and he wasn't the kind of guy, he wasn't the guy who talks, right? He would just sit there and go into samadhi. And when he would go into samadhi, they'd dim the lights down on the thing, and he would look at each person. And when it came around to me and he looked at me, there was this light coming out of his eyes. You couldn't see it on the you know, when his face wasn't facing you, but when you looked right at you, the light coming out of your eyes. And the reason why I remember that is because I knew like that was the light of God. The Sasquatch have this ability. They can, and I'm saying, if the researchers ever understood that when the white light comes out of their eyes, day or night, that Sasquatch is telling you, I have God within me and I can show you. That's a statement. I have God within me and I can show you. And it was just, we're not educated enough. We don't have that cultural understanding that when somebody has light coming out of their eyes, that's the light of life. That's the light of God. So that's God's light right there. You're seeing God when he puts that light on you. To me, and this is how I form who I think the Sasquatch are. Because normal people can't do that. Like the masters can do it, and the Sasquatch can do it. To me, they're on the same level. The angelic people can do it. The angelics are seen with light coming out. And the great masters they see on the ships that just have light coming out of their whole face. That's the light of life. That's the light of God. So good stuff.
That's one of the things that quantum energy talks about, that light. And with the video, that quantum, the light that comes out or that you see is that universal divine light that you're seeing.
It is divine light. That's exactly the right word for it. And we have it inside of us, but when they amp it up, you can,
Yes. Yeah.
High energy.
That makes sense because it was pretty spectacular. Like, it was pretty intense, right? It wasn't just like a little light shine. It was like.
And not everybody sees this. A lot of people see the red light.
Right.
And their eyes, and sometimes blue or sometimes green, but to see the white light like that.
And even the colors that they use with eye shine has a purpose. There's a purpose within each color on the spectrum, because quantum energy and the waves and things it brings about a color. gosh, I can't remember how to explain that. But that, to me, quantum is the divine. This is the pure transference of energy, the connection of energy that is part of our universe, is part of us. And it's one of those things that humanity, for whatever reason, and very possibly for their teachings as they went from lifetime to lifetime, to understand that within these lights, there are answers. There is that energy that connects to that electromagnetic part of our body. And yes, the white being considered purity in so many beliefs, that is that light that is pure. In that Sanat Kumara thing I posted today, the message he gave me, and Christ star, he talked about the Christ star, and somebody asked me, well, what is the Christ star? Well, the Christ star is that universal light that is in all of us and that can emanate from us. And so looking at this light, the Christ consciousness, the Christ light, the Christ star, all of those things aren't talking about Jesus in particular, but the consciousness of Jesus, that higher being of how we view Jesus, and many others, Buddha and a lot of the others as well. So all of these things that we're learning that's so cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, so interesting you guys would say all this, because the big thought for me these days, I just keep thinking about this over and over, and I can only seem to get so far with the thought, but I get so excited. I really think that Sasquatch are actually angels in a physical form. And maybe people would think, oh, that's unlikely because they're really big and hairy, and aren't big and hairy people stupid? And it's like, well, maybe they're not. Maybe they're actually angels. Who knows what's going on inside there? You know, like, you don't know.
I call them archangel class earth spirits. Archangel class earth spirits. They're in that same category.
Well, so that's what I would call them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Earth spirits, earth angels. Yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
Well, remember in the Bible, John 1. John 1 goes like this. In the beginning was the Logos, and the Logos was with God, and the Logos was God. And there was nothing that was created that was not created by the Logos. And that Logos was made light. And that light is the life of mankind. So what are they saying? They're saying that the Logos is God, right? And that God was made light. And that light is the life of mankind. So our life force is God's light. And when the great masters can do this, that's what enlightenment is all about. That's what samadhi is all about. That's what the great masters do, and the initiation into yoga and all that kind of stuff. That's what it's about. It's about purifying and amplifying the life force until it ignites and you see the light inside of you. Yeah.
Well, imagine being.
And that's one of the things we came here to do, by the way.
Yeah, really.
Right.
To be a child and to be able to emanate a whole beam of light from your eyes. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, what else can be said? Wow.
Right.
It's an education. It's an education, that's for sure.
It is.
So yeah, that was amazing over in BC. at the camp out with Brian, Susan, and Penny, Tom, Bill, and Christine. I wish I could name everybody. Deborah,
Yep.
Kathleen, Debbie, lots of our friends were there. And but the interesting thing is, yeah, like we had that, then we had this one here with the eye shine from 2 juveniles, and then just last night there was eye shine from the dock at the water, and we were looking down by the water, and there's this eye shine looking at us. And
that was last night.
Yes,
was just last night. Yes.
Yeah.
And at points,
it was amazing.
I could see the individual was walking up the hill towards our house, and then would seem to disappear again, and then I'd just see eye shine again, and then it would seem to retreat, and then sometimes come back closer again. Meanwhile, I was telepathing with the individual, and this individual is a Sasquatch that does pilot a ship. So of course they're not all
very cool
in the forest. Some of them do the UFO thing too.
And what was his message? What did he say about our marriage or us together?
He said, when you two are together, it creates power and love. That's what he told us.
That's very evident. That's very evident.
Well, thanks.
Thank you.
The Sasquatch ships and Sasquatch crews.
That's right.
That's right. There are apparently a people called the Purpal.
The Purpal.
And they're a different race of Sasquatch, I guess, who are using technology, whereas others have decided not. They, obviously they would prefer not to use technology.
Yeah, there's definitely space bearing or space traveling Sasquatch, just like there's people who look exactly like us from the Pleiades and from the Andromeda and from Sirius. They look exactly like us, and they travel the space, and we haven't got our wings yet.
Right. We're the babies.
That's Kashima travels a lot. He is not Earth-based, but he is here part of the time, but he travels all over and works with different star people on different things. The ones that are here are primarily working with the elements of the earth. And so the light language that started coming for me a few years ago was in the fire. They showed it to me in the water. They showed it to me in the air, in the sky, and they showed it to me on the earth. And so they told me here not too long ago that that's what they were showing me before they told me exactly what they were doing. They were giving me bits and pieces of a puzzle that would be put together at a later date, and I love puzzles. So, yeah. But they also said that there is a 5th element. There are 5 elements. There are the 4 of the earth, but the 5th is space or spirit, and that encompasses everything. And
maybe
so
light.
Yes, like light, spirit, the whole everything. It's the cosmic consciousness.
She's before light. She's the generator of the light.
Yeah. So yeah, there are those who are like Kashima that do travel on ships from time to time, but they don't need ships either to travel.
Nice.
So, and there's many of them that don't need ships to travel, but they do for various reasons. So this has been a good show. Is there anything you want to say, Graham or Aimee?
Well, Thanks for making my first podcast wonderful.
Ah,
It was my pleasure to be here, and it was my honor, and I'm really happy to share my experiences and my stories. And I just love you and love Michael, and you guys are, made me feel very at home and comfortable. So thank you. And this is just like the beginning. We'll have to do this again.
You have a
Yes,
lot
we
to
will.
say. I'm very thankful for you to come and visit
Thanks,
with
Michael.
us.
Thanks for being such a great host and hostess.
Yeah, this has been
Awesome.
great.
Yeah.
I have something I'd like to show you briefly. I'm putting out a music CD by under the artist name Vile Ant. I think it looks backwards here. It's glary.
No, it's good. It's look. I can read it.
It's
It's
good.
filing.
Isn't that beautiful?
Anthology.
The photo that this design is made from was actually taken in Missouri in a spot where there were many Sasquatch. And this is the back cover, which incorporates the same photo with a different design, and the song titles are there on the back. And yeah, I'm going to be releasing this on Bandcamp in a little while when I can get into town and get to my studio and put
So
that
you get
out.
it digitally at Bandcamp, and then you can get it. Are you going to have a CD sales too?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll sell the CD on Bandcamp and the digital,
Okay, right.
of course, as well.
Fantastic.
Whoever else wants a CD, just let us know.
Yeah, or you can always contact me on Facebook.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was taken in Missouri, and one of my songs, not on this CD, but on another one that I put out, another recording that I put out, was a lot of it was worked on while all this stuff was going on with Odin in rural Missouri. And you know, he would have heard the music. He even like brought in a sign once, said country music in Branson, and he actually put it in the weed burning pit to try to warn me that I was getting fried by the radiation from my computer by a rather nasty ET that didn't like me out there.
Right.
Not all of them are friendly.
Right.
And Odin figured Graham will be able to figure this out. If I throw this in the weed burning pit, what that means you're burning up in there, buddy, while you're working on your music. So turn that computer off for a while, because the EMF level has gone out of control. Because
I never heard of that. So the ETs were actually giving you interference just because they're assholes.
Basically, I interfered with them, and then they interfered with me, and we all got into a bit of a tussle.
Was this like in the dream time, or on a ship, or?
It was when I was awake. I saw a UFO that I got a really dark energy from, and I still didn't really know what was going on at the time. Like, was this all real, or was it? Still questioning, even though I'd seen every last thing prove that it was real to me. Still, the mind, we've been, like I said, programmed for so many years of just seeing these things as unreal that I still wasn't sure. But I thought, well, I'd heard of this theory that UFOs were psychically controlled, and I wanted to know, is this true? So I thought, well, if I interfere with his flight, probably, annoy him, and then he'll let me know that I should stop doing that. And then I'll know that the answer to my question is yes, they are psychically controlled. And I figured if this is a benign being, they're going to forgive me. And if they're not, then, well, so be it. I'll take the risk. So I took the risk, and it was probably a big mistake. But that was one of the results of that little incident, was them trying to fry me by using a laptop that was, of course, connected to our good old internet and I mean, it's EMF technology, right? And not all of it's good for you.
Very threatened by Graham, right? And,
yeah, but you also got the good guys looking after you. You got the Sasquatch good guys.
That's true.
There's got to be the good guy ETs. So when they don't let people get messed with, if you got Sasquatch friends and ET friends, they don't let you get messed with much. They'll run off the bad guys.
At another time, the smart meter was employed to emit a bunch of radiation against us as well, and that was pretty nasty. I actually felt like I had radiation poisoning.
Wow.
Yeah. So Odin was warning me to try to bring the EMF level in the house down so there was less risk of that happening.
Wow.
So I turned off all the computers, all the devices, and I think maybe that night I watched a movie on a VCR or something like that instead.
Was that before your Sasquatch book, or was it after your Sasquatch book? Sasquotes.
Yes, Sasquotes, Wisdom of the Hairy People. It was before.
It was before. There you go.
There
Thanks,
it is,
Michael.
Yeah. Haha.
Awesome.
It was before. Huh.
Yeah.
There you go.
But you're right. We have lots of
good
people looking after us. And
I haven't mentioned much about that for a long time because it's not a fun subject, and it usually gets like a pretty extreme reaction from anybody I tell that story to. So I've kept quiet about that kind of stuff for the most part, but I don't know. Well, this came out, so there you go.
It is what it is, right? Yep.
Well, you're alive and kicking. You can put that in the post column.
He's a tough cookie.
And you learned something through this, or you still have something to learn,
right?
Because of this.
There's so much.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
it's a long process.
We agree. Yeah.
I've worked with a lot of people who had bad experiences, and there was in all of them there was a reason that happened.
Right.
And like Michael said, you got all the protection around you that is going to shield anything that's really going to hurt you. And Odin's going to tell you if you're oblivious to what's going on in your own home, to things that could be detrimental to you.
Right.
So, but one thing I know about them is they will let you have experiences that are not the most pleasant. And going into those experiences, you wake up latent information.
Right.
So,
yeah,
that's right. Yeah, well, all is ultimately well. So
there you go.
I'm happy. I don't really have any regrets. I just think that these sorts of conflicts are a universal issue that is being worked out as we speak, and it's a lot bigger than myself or any one person.
It's a long time we've had not niceness on this planet. A long time.
And we've perpetuated it. Humans have. We have perpetuated war, and we have perpetuated taking control over other people. And so, and in this third dimension world, that's what the third dimension is about. And it's also about learning how to release all of those things so that you will dimensionally rise. And it's hard to release yourself from things, And, we see that every day that, people are, well, if they're going to do this to this country, then we're going to go over and do this to them, and so on. And that never fixes anything at all.
Nope.
It just perpetuates that 3D learning that we're not going to have to deal with when we're not in 3D anymore.
Right.
So
Exactly. Yep.
it was a good show.
I think we got to wind it down. That's like 2.5 hours. That's
Yep.
a marathon for us. We try to keep it under 2 hours, but it was so tasty. Such a yummy stuff going on here.
Love it.
Yes, it was.
doubt.
It was all over. It was a smorgasbord of stuff, like a
Great.
buffet.
There you go.
I think the world's
Well, thanks
better,
so much.
a better place now.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
So
Blessed
thanks
be.
again.
Yeah, thank you guys.
You guys are great. Love the show.
Yeah, I love the show.
You know,
It's awesome.
Bye, everybody. Everybody in Facebook land, like, share.
Yeah.
Tell your friends.
It's going to
Yeah.
be on Michael's channel in a couple of days. So go to his channel, click like.
on YouTube.
On YouTube,
Yeah,
yes.
on
Yep,
YouTube,
Michael Harrell.
Yeah.
Over and out. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
So I think that stopped it on Facebook. We're still alive. I just want to give you another thank you for showing up. And if you ever want to do this again, when you get I saw you have a whole big, pile of papers there. That was as Morse quotes and stuff, right?
Yeah, more
We
good
stories.
brought our notes.
notes, and we have stuff, more quotes, more material for the new book, lots of stuff.
Well,
We're just like-
congratulations on a new book and a new house. And wow, you seem like you're totally taken care of.
Yes, we're so blessed. We
I
so
think the Sasquatch arranged that too.
yeah, totally. We've been going through lots of hard stuff, and now it's like, oh my goodness, things have sort of changed.
The plumbing in our old house blew up, and we had to live in a motel for over a month. And our landlord went crazy and abused us.
And our insurance was fighting with
she
us.
even assaulted me, and it was like, wow, 2024, pretty tough so far, it seemed. Then we got this opportunity, and we just thought, we have to do this. This is going to be our way to create the kind of life that we've always wanted.
And now we have ultimate respect and love where we live and where we work. It's amazing. It's a game changer. Definitely a game changer.
Awesome.
Totally is.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to do it again.
Yeah.
Anytime you're ready to promote something, your books and your music, yeah.
Sounds good.
Listen, I wanted to say, drop me links that you want me to put on. I mean, we're like the world's smallest channel. We probably get 100 views or something. But anyway,
Yeah, for sure.
I used to have.
But you
so
can
many
put it on
links
you
there.
can mirror
No,
it if you want.
One.
Sounds good.
Cool.
All right.
All right, and thanks
Bye.
all for showing up.
Take care.
Always.
Thanks for
Love
listening.
you guys.
Love you.
Love you guys too. Take care.
Bye.
This light code activation video came to me from a group of star people, Sasquatch ancients, and others who are working together to help support the earth and humanity. I was allowed to video this transmission as they knew I would share it in a good way. May it bless you as you open up your heart through your higher self to receive. Many blessings to you.
way ah hey oh way ya, way ah hey oh elo, Elohim way ya, way hey yo, way ya, way ah hey oh way ya, way ah hey oh elo. Elohim, away, away, yo. Way, 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 Elohim, way, way, hey, yo.